Helen Young led a life deeply rooted in faith and family, and spent her days both nurturing and furthering the lives of all those around her. Her contributions to the church and university communities were and continue to be vast and widely felt. Some have called Helen Young the Queen of Pepperdine, a title attempting to sum up her influence and imprint on the college and university for 70 years. But if you knew Helen personally, you would call her a servant leader. She unselfishly gave of her energy, spirit, and personality for the advancement and stability of the school that she loved, and to which she had so devoted her life. That Helen Young spirit is deep in the bones of this institution.
She has led Pepperdine in a very sophisticated and yet humble way over the decades in her role, whatever that role has been as it's changed over the years.
Helen Young is going to be the first lady by which every first lady in the history and future of Pepperdine University will be judged. I mean, she just personifies grace and a spirit of welcome and embrace. I don't know that I know a more gracious soul than Helen Young.
She has been a godly example to students, to women who work at Pepperdine, who attend church with her, who interact with her.
She demonstrated that charm and sophistication and Christian commitment and kingdom work can all be put together into one person. And in many ways, I think we'll be able to think of her as our sort of Pepperdine's Mother Teresa.
Born Helen Elizabeth Maddox, Helen embodied a quiet spirituality and moral strength, attributed to a childhood spent cultivating her faith at home. She grew up in a home focused on service to the church, to Christian education, and to family. She saw her parents pray and sacrifice to begin several congregations of Churches of Christ. Her mother, Irene Maddox, was undoubtedly the most powerful influence in Helen's early life. Irene was a fierce advocate for the poor as she served in distributing food to the hungry during the Depression, often giving from her own meager supplies. She was a pioneer in teaching women how to study the Bible and become more confident in their walk with Christ.
Her mom was really a strong woman. I remember her very well. She was kind of a powerful figure. She was the oldest of 13 and was very respected in Oklahoma City as a social activist. My mother would tell stories of driving all around Oklahoma City collecting food, then going down under the bridge in Oklahoma City to the homeless. And these people were starving, and they would be passing out just whatever they had collected out of the back of their car because Mrs. Maddox had come to give food. So that really impacted my mother as just kind of having a role model of a very strong female leader as a mother.
Helen began her college career at Harding University, but in 1937, after a fateful campus visit by George Pepperdine, she and a classmate decided to make the move to California to finish their last 2 years at George Pepperdine College, transferring in the college's inaugural year. From then on, she devoted most of her time to Pepperdine pursuits, first working for Dean of Girls Martha Middlebrooks, and then serving as president of the Alpha Gamma Service Club for female honor students. As one of the first students of George Pepperdine College, Helen was present and active in many seminal events in university history, even helping name the school newspaper, The Graphic, as a member of its first staff. Long before she became Pepperdine's First Lady, Helen's affinity for the institution, its founders, and successors shone through every aspect of her purposeful service to the school.
Well, what drew her to Pepperdine in 1937 was the fact that she was a transfer student from Harding. And apparently her social life was such, and she had a relationship with a young man that her parents didn't want her to have, and so they thought going to California was a good solution to this problem. So it was with that in mind that they suggested that she come to Pepperdine in 1937, which was the first class. She enjoyed and participated in campus activities and chapel life and things of that nature. She was even one of the founders of the Kappa Kappa Kappas, the Tri-Ks, which was a women's service organization, sorority, fraternity, essentially a service organization. But more than anything else, what drew her back in 1938, after the first year, was Norval.
After meeting M. Norval Young, then her history teacher, on campus in 1938, Helen's fondness for the university grew even stronger. As time passed, the two fell in love and were married in 1939, soon after Helen's graduation, beginning a romance that would last for nearly 60 years and result in 4 beautiful children.
They truly were in love till the end. As a teenager, I remember on a trip, one of them would get out of the car to buy something or ask advice. The other one would say, Mother would say, "Your dad is the finest man in the world." And Daddy would say, if Mother got out, "Your mother is the most unselfish woman in the world and the most beautiful." They never saw each other that they didn't kiss. They were always romantic.
Using her gifts of ministry in teaching and hospitality, she and Norval served a large congregation of the Churches of Christ in Texas for 13 years. But the greatest chapter of their lives began in 1957, when Norval was called upon to become Pepperdine University's 3rd president. Their move to California was an exciting time, but also one of great strain, as the public, the college community, and many of the churches were skeptical of the Youngs' plans for the university. Helen maintained her optimism and rose to the occasion to become the most visible and influential woman in the Churches of Christ.
So her legacy begins early with being a student, and then the man she marries is a faculty member. But when they came back in '57, they truly changed the school. They saved the school. They really were a team. Helen and Norval, Norval and Helen. And it was a great marriage and a great team. And they strengthened each other. They just had gifts that brought out the best in each other.
Loving and honoring God's Word was Helen's greatest hope and accomplishment, and she placed much confidence in the benefits of a rich Christian education. Most historically, she established the Associated Women for Pepperdine, a women's support organization that would promote the university for decades to come. She and Norval were true partners in their work for Pepperdine. Together, they served the institution for over 42 years.
I think on the advice of maybe her mom, and I'm sure Norval encouraged her too, to start a women's organization. And in the 50s, that was really something. She is just one of these people that gets in there and, and does it. And people want to be around her because she influences you for good.
I served on the board in the late 90s. She was always at the meetings, always present even then, participating, serving Pepperdine and serving the people in some way. And she served as an example to all of us of how we should be and how we should put others first. She always did that.
Without Helen, we would not have had AWP. We would not have scholarships that support the students that come from all over the country to come here.
With the endowment in 1986 of the M. Norval and Helen Young Chair in Family Life at the Graduate School of Education and Psychology's opening, the Youngs initiated a legacy of support and educational leadership that will endure at the university for generations. In 1996, the Youngs became the first benefactors of what would become the Boone Center for the Family, a university outreach dedicated to healthy relationships among family, friends, and peers, all at the heart of Helen's ideals. And in September 2005, the M. Norval and Helen Young Center was dedicated, the permanent home of the Boone Center and of full-time programs of the Graduate School of Education and Psychology on the Drescher Graduate Campus in Malibu.
Norval and Helen Young had a vision for some kind of a center that focused on the family and teachings of the families. But I think for her, it was her belief, strong belief in teaching and research on healthy families.
From the day she accepted her diploma as one of George Pepperdine College's first graduates to her years as the university's First Lady, Helen Young's lifelong devotion to Pepperdine will forever endure, an eternal legacy.
I think of Helen as being infused and suffused throughout this institution. I mean, the spirit of Helen is present every morning when the sun rises and when the sun sets.
Her legacy will be that there are more people who want to serve, who want to make a difference in this world, because we've seen it in Helen. We've seen what service requires, what it entails, and we see what sacrifice really is.
I would say her fingerprint is welcome. Welcome.
She made my world bigger. She made my vision bigger. She made possibilities larger for me. I do thank her for that.
I want to go back to thank her for one more thing. It is just for leading us with hands and heart.
If she were here today, I would just hug her. I'd sit and hold her hands and ask her to tell me stories.
Can you imagine Jesus calling out your name the way he did Mary's name? And
that will be the day, won't it?
that will be the day.
I look forward to it. Really, I have a sweet neighbor, Mrs. Phillips, who lives 2 doors down. And she and I talk about this so much because she is 99 and she is wanting to go on to heaven. And so we talk about that so much, and it is a blessed thing to look forward to. And I think people get morbid if they think you're just thinking about going on to heaven. And it isn't that way at all, I think. It's a part of life and something that will be wonderful.
Won't it though?